Hey and welcome. In today's video we are going to make this corset top. I decided to make mine more beginner friendly and not that complicated, so I hope you enjoy the video. Let's jump right into it. First of all, I was looking for some inspiration and I came up with those three designs, and then you have to ask yourself, which neckline do you want to have? Do you want to embroider something, or do you want to use a zipper? But in the end I came up with the following design. So my top has a kind of V-neck shape in the front and a straight back. Also I decided to attach a zipper and not to use any boning because my fabric is very heavy since it's from an old pair of jeans. Also, I couldn't do boning because you need 2 layers of your fabric and I didn't have enough fabric from just one jeans. So here you can see all the pattern pieces for the back of my top and of course the zipper. Here are the front pieces for my top, and I draped this part on my mannequin because, as you can see, there is a curve in which your bust needs to fit in. Also, I used a cheaper fabric to make like an example version and do some alterations. Okay, let's start sewing. Therefore, line up those pieces left sides facing, which means the less beautiful sides are facing each other, and then sew along this line. We are creating French seams right now. This is now how it should look like from the outside. Now we flip those parts over and sew along this part right here. We do this to enclose the seam allowances in this seam, and that leads us to having a nice seam at the in and the outside of the top. This is how it looks like from the outside right now, and as you can see at the inside there are no ugly seam allowances. You could also think of top stitching this part right here so that the seam lays flat. For the front part we are going to sew together those curved parts, therefore line them up right sides together because we won't do any French seams here since they are a bit disturbing in this area. And this is how your pieces should look like, and as you can see the curve is created automatically here. Next we are going to sew together those middle parts of the front. We will do a French seam once again, therefore line them up left sides facing and sew along this line. And now you flip this part over again and sew along this line so that you include the seam allowances. By the way, in case your fabric is much thinner than mine and you want to use boning, you could also make the French seams bigger and then top stitch them and then put some boning through. Now let's attach the back to the front. Therefore we are doing some French seams again. which means that you line them up left sides together and sew over that part. Also line up the shoulder seams left sides together, then sew over all those parts, and then you can try your top on and see if you need to do some alterations. If you tried it on, then you can finish your French seams as I showed earlier on, and here's now how my top looks like. The last step is now to hem all the raw edges that I'm showing right here. You could do this by folding the fabric over twice and then sewing along this part. Another possibility would be to use some bias tape. But you could also use some 4 to 5 centimeters wide lining. Last but not least, here are some tips how you can make your top very unique. You could use some contrasting thread, for example, to top stitch those parts, or if you use your bias tape to top stitch this part. Another opportunity would also be to embroider something, so you could, for example, use the same color as your contrasting thread and then embroider something, for example, in the front. You could do a mini logo or whatever you want, and I think you could also do a cute quote in the back if you want to, but that's all up to you. The last step is now to attach the zipper at the back, and now I'm going to show you how my top turned out.